So Terry, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yes, hi. My name is Terry McCoy. I have been a volunteer with Foundation Communities for 8 years now. I do financial counseling, credit counseling, and also teach the money management class. And anything else they ask me to do, I try my best to kind of help out where I can. I'm very passionate about Foundation Communities. The reason that I am passionate is because it allots for people to help themselves, but give the resources for people to help themselves. So I've really enjoyed my over 8 years, and I look forward to as many more as they will have me doing these. So I very much enjoy doing it. And as we do go through, and it looks like everybody's pretty well muted, that's awesome. You don't have to do video if you don't want to. If you prefer a little privacy, that's totally up to you, but that's your decision. Both Chris and I will be video. Chris will also, as he mentioned, he'll be fielding any questions that come up. We have allotted a couple of hours for something that might take us a little less than an hour itself. So please don't hesitate to ask any questions. And if it's real pertinent to what we're working on, Chris will kind of bring it to my attention, or I'll see it and we can address it right at that point. Or if you want to just hold it towards the end or at the end of each section, totally up to you, whichever you prefer. So are there any questions before we get started? No? Awesome. So,
no, I don't think so.
Thanks. So this is a program that was put together for, in essence, emergencies. So as we go through, you might notice some of the things you might go, well, is this pertinent to the pandemic? And it is an emergency, but it's probably not something that when this was really designed, that it was at the forefront of thinking this is what it would be used for. But it's great information that does help us at this time to really kind of understand what we're going through and how do we get through this situation. And, you know, at this point, we don't know what the future holds really for any of us. So we're going to keep doing the very best that we can, and we're going to give you the best information that we possibly can as we go through this. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the slideshow, Chris.
All right. So it's today's presentation is called Managing Money During a Pandemic. And
so section 1, what we're going to be talking about is going to be recovering from financially. What's the matter, Chris?
oh, no. And we just want to make sure everybody does have themselves on mute.
Okay. Section 1 is recovering financially from a pandemic. Because we're not done with it, these are things that we're going to want to keep in mind as we continue through our whole entire situation. So thinking about where we are right now and thinking about where we're going to be in a month, in a couple months, but we will one way or another get through this. It just comes down to what does it look like on the other side, and how are we going to handle this when we start to see some relief. We'll kind of see that as we go through, and we'll look for opportunities to make sure that we get ourselves through it and prepare for afterwards. So the key takeaway for this section is going to be, how do you develop an initial plan to recover financially from a disaster? And this is a disaster of sorts. It may not be you know, something that came about due to weather or terrorism, but it is something that is affecting each and every one of us in multiple different ways. The other thing we're going to talk about is watching out for scams, because these folks will adapt according. The scammers will adapt to what's going on, and it's up to us as consumers to make sure that we're really aware of what's out there and how do we identify it and avoid being victim to a scam. So here's some of the things how a disaster can affect your finances. First of all, we all have our immediate needs. So would folks kind of agree our immediate needs are roof over your head, food on the table, and making sure the electricity is still on? So I think we can all probably agree that's probably our biggest focus at this point. And we're going to want to make sure that we have those kind of taken care of the best we possibly can. Then there's going to be ongoing items that you need. There's going to be insurance that has to be paid for. There may be car repairs. So there'll be our ongoing of things that aren't necessarily the essentials, medications that you may have. So those are things that are going to have to be covered as we get through this. Identity theft, and we'll talk a little bit more about how we avoid identity theft, because again, this is perfect timing for scammers to get out there and start getting our information, because we are a little bit more vulnerable than we normally are. So we're going to want to be aware of that. On that same thing, the scams. Cannot stress how much the scammers are out there and looking to get our information, our money, our assets. And like I said, we are extremely vulnerable in multiple different ways, not just financially, but emotionally. You know, we're all kind of, whether you're out in the workforce and dealing with that, or whether you're working from home, it is a different environment. So we have to make sure that we're aware of what's going on and not falling victim. Access to financial resources. You guys are extremely lucky to have foundation communities available to you. There are a lot of resources that both your case manager or somebody at Foundation Communities can assist you with should you need any. It is not a time to be proud and stubborn. It's a good opportunity to look out. Both the federal, state, and local governments and some companies have made funds available to consumers for assistance. So we want to make sure that we're taking advantage of that money. We also want to be aware of the penalties for missing payments on anything, whether it's credit, whether it's utilities. Those could end up costing us a lot. And we'll kind of talk about what those conversations should look like when we're talking to those that we do business with. And then job loss. You know, if you're a victim of job loss, you know, if you've lost your job, how are you handling that? Are you able to get unemployment? Some people are actually with the federal $600 doing a little bit better than where they were. Some are still struggling. So if there is a job loss, you know, you want to make sure that you're looking for every opportunity to get back into the workforce, or look for what might be available for you to make additional money. We can go ahead, Chris. So there's going to be 4 things that we're going to cover when it comes to recovery. We don't know when that recovery is going to be. We can hope that it's very, very soon. But if it's not, we want to be aware of these ahead of time. So we've got housing, income, bills, and protecting your money. So we're going to talk about each one of these. First, let's talk a little bit about financial recovery when it comes to housing. So first of all, continue to make payments. If you have the ability to make payments to your landlord. You know, I know that there's some things out there where people are saying don't pay. You know, if you don't have the ability, that's bullet point number 2. Make sure you're contacting the property management. There may be funds available to assist you in making your payments. So you want to make sure that you are being proactive with getting that assistance. Please pay. More creditors, more of your landlords, foundation communities, they can do so much more for you proactively than when you're already a month behind. You know, they have a lot more resources available. So please keep in contact with them. That's what they're there for, and make sure you utilize those. You also have the ability to set an appointment with a financial counselor, such as me, to find community organizations that may be out there. There's utility assistance. You can check with Foundation Communities. There may be funds available to help you either through City of Austin or other grants that can help you pay your utilities if you are not able to. So make sure that you're not waiting until these things are past due, but being a little proactive and going, I know I'm not going to have the money in 2 weeks when that bill comes. So be proactive and be kind of aware. And also, as you start to work with some of these organizations, they're going to look for paperwork. So make sure that you've got all of your paperwork, whether it's paycheck stubs, your tax returns, any of that stuff. Make sure that you have your financial information available at all times so that you're not trying to look for it and can't find it. Hopefully you've got a good system of where you keep your information right now so that it's easy accessible, whether it's virtually on your computer or whether you actually have hard copies of it. Just make sure that you have that information available should anybody need it. So that's housing.
Okay, yeah, and definitely keep in contact with your CHI manager, your case manager, because they do receive a lot of the information through Foundation Communities when it becomes available, such as the Plus One program, that we do have funding to help people with their electric bills.
Yeah, a lot has been made available. It's, like I said, there's federal, there's state, there's local, and then there's people donating to assist people during this period of time. So please make sure if you are struggling, don't be stubborn. Go get yourself some help. There's funds available. Some of the things you want to do is there's probably enough stress out there. Get the assistance that you can get, and that relieves some of the stress of trying to figure out how do I pay for these things. The next thing we have after housing is bills and expenses. First of all, I'll keep mentioning it. Pay your bills if you can pay them. Be proactive. Some of the things that may have disappeared for funding as we kind of roll back in the state of Texas, funds may be available again, for whether it's unemployment, whether it's housing assistance, whether it's utilities, because we rolled back, so we know that folks who may have just gone back to work may be unemployed again. So that funding is going to be available, so be aware of that. Contact your, keep paying whatever you can. Remember, contact Foundation Communities if you need assistance with your Austin energy bill. There is funds available for that, and if you're unable to make it, make sure that you're reaching out to your caseworker, Foundation Communities, and getting that assistance. Keep in contact with your financial institutions. If you know that there's going to be something coming out of your account auto-drafted and the money may not be there, be proactive with them. They may waive fees for you. A lot of the financial institutions are being really nice about those things. I can tell you, I got laid off last month, but I know the financial institution that I worked for, they were waiving a lot of the fees for people. So a lot of financial institutions are doing that, realizing they'd rather waive those fees than have you go negative or hurt your credit. Contact your creditors. If you've got credit card payments, car payments, these folks are also prepared to work with you. So please make sure that you're reaching out and being that proactive opposed to the reactive, so that they can work with you before anything goes too far past due. So, and they've been doing this for a couple of months now. So they have been working with folks and they're 100% aware of how people need help. Keep records of what you're spending. Know where your money is going. Be aware of how you're spending it. It's a good time to be kind of aware of what your finances are. I can tell you, I got rid of cable and I renegotiated my phone bill. Just amazing what the companies are willing to do for you and what you can live with and live without. If there are any financial difficulties, Look at where you're spending your money and kind of look for opportunities to save money in groceries, in phone, utilities, anything like that. So be aware. And also access those assistant programs. Chris and I'll keep mentioning that to you. There's funding available. So, but don't wait until it's too late. And some of these funds are disappearing rather quickly. So you want to make sure if you know you're not going to be able to make a payment or do something, be proactive. We can go ahead and Chris.
All right.
Income and job. It's not a bad thing if you are still working, be in communication with your employer. How does the outcome look? Am I going to be able to keep the hours that I have? Your benefits providers, you may want to be careful in case you're going from full-time to part-time, what benefits are actually going to be available, health benefits, dental, other benefits that you may have. So just keep on top of that, making sure that those benefits are still going to be available to you. Some companies may even have additional benefits for you if you are needing them. Keep track of days lost. The unemployment, I got an email today that they are kind of redoing the unemployment again, where you don't have to do job searches and stuff, but keep track of how many days you're out. So in case you do end up going on unemployment, get out there, get on that website as quickly as you possibly can if you're even unsure. That way you've got the benefits rolling, and if you go past the first week, you can start to get those benefits. If you have anything that, if you have a service animal or any assistive technology that you may need to keep up, anything that has to do with any disabilities. Some companies, if you are in need of something new or work on, maybe it's a wheelchair, maybe it's something else. Some companies may be able to give more assistance to you if you are needing that assistance. Your disability insurance provider, make sure that you are keeping in contact with them for any changes that they may have. Going to go back to a lot of these companies are prepared to help. So, but you have to sometimes reach out to them to let them know that, hey, I need some help. We talked about unemployment already. Look, SNAP, if you're in need of assistance for food, make sure that you're reaching out for that. And contact schools and financial aid. If you are a student, it might be something where you may be able to defer payments. They may be offering classes for less money because they're virtual. So there may be opportunities to work with the school. Also keep in mind, if you have kids in school, keep on top of, when are they returning? How are they going to return? For those of you who have to deal with childcare, it's going to make a difference whether you can be home with the kids or not be home with the kids. Are they going to be off at school, or are they going to be at home doing their learning? So those are things you're going to really want to keep on top of. Sounds like a lot, and it is, but just make sure that you're keeping on top of it, being proactive instead of reactive. And don't forget, the chat is available to y'all if you need to ask any questions as Chris and I are going through. Protecting your money. Chatted a little bit about it earlier. Make sure that you know what's going on with your credit reports. I hope everybody has some kind of monitoring service, and a lot of them are free, whether they are through the credit reporting agencies, you have Credit Karma, you have multiple other ones that are totally free to you, where you'll want to keep your eye out and make sure nobody's opening new accounts for you. Make sure that your balances aren't over your limits. Make sure you're not missing a payment or they're reporting you as missing a payment. So keep on top of that. Or if somebody's, a big one is have somebody pull credit on you, which may mean somebody else is trying to get credit in your name. We've talked about it already. Contact your financial institutions. I will tell you, majority of them are really trying hard to work with consumers understanding that these are tough times for everyone. Many of them want to retain the relationship as best as they possibly can. And some of that comes down to, like I said, waiving fees, waiving late fees, taking partial payments, and recording them as full payments. So, but you gotta be in contact with them at all times. One thing I can tell you, which I myself have experienced, if you're reaching out to companies who have call centers, the waits are a lot longer. You know, you might be looking 30 to 50 to an hour, 60 minutes just on hold to get to somebody. So just know, if you're trying to do this after work, schedule time if you've got to reach some of the, whether it's the financial institutions, utilities, plan for that time. Otherwise, it's going to be very frustrating for you. Some of them do have the automatic callback, which may be a little less frustrating for you. Find a safe place for financial information, cash, and other valuables. One thing I can tell you, cash, be so careful how much cash you store or carry with you. One thing I always like to tell people is cash cannot be replaced if stolen. Even if they catch the person who stole it, the money is usually gone at that point. So it's not a bad idea to have some cash on hand just in case. Some places are even going cashless, some businesses, where they won't even accept cash because of the touch factor. But make sure all of your information, your cash and your valuables are in a safe place. The majority of us are home a lot right now, so somebody breaking in is a little less likely, but just don't keep things in your vehicle. People are going through those at night, but make sure that you know where your important information, your cash, and your valuables are at all times. Chris? Be proactive. I think I've said that many times during the session so far. So if something occurs, contact the company. In their eyes, it looks more like you are really trying to work with them. Therefore, they want to work with you. So if anybody's ever had to deal with a late payment or something and they're calling you, they tend to be more aggressive about it. Whereas if you call and go, hey, I'm not going to be able to make this payment, they may have resources available already that can assist you, skipping payments, possibly on car payments, personal loans, credit cards. So contact them directly. If needed, if you're not getting the assistance that you believe you're legally entitled to, there are regulatory agencies out there. You do have the Attorney General's office for companies that do business in the state of Texas. You can report them if that's something. State regulators, if it's a financial institution, you can report them. They do not want to be reported by hundreds or thousands of people for the same exact infraction. But like I said, most are keeping on top of all the regulatory compliance and then trying to assist their customers as much as possible. But be aware that, you know, they have to adhere to regulations, and some companies may assume that, oh, well, they won't know any better, which is a bad way for them to look at it. So make sure that you're aware of what actual regulations may be in place to protect you as the consumer when dealing with financial institutions, utility companies, all of those. Hey, Chris? So scams, the scammers are ahead of us often. They have switched automatically to, you know, whether it's text, phone call, or email. Hey, if you send us $100, we'll get all of your creditors to skip payments for you. If you give us your information, you may be entitled to money from the federal, state, or county government. Be so careful giving out any of your information that Social Security, date of birth, address, anything like that, because they are ahead of us when it comes to scamming. So we have to almost be, when it comes to anybody reaching out to us that isn't your case manager, that isn't Foundation Communities, you have to kind of be careful of, you know, the unemployment office isn't going to call you and say, we understand that you're going to be getting unemployment. So you want to be careful with those types of things where they're reaching out to you. If somebody's coming to you, ask for state or local permits to be able to do whatever they're doing. Knowing that you're at home all day, I don't get anybody coming to my door, but I don't know if anybody else has had people coming to their door saying, hey, I can help you with this. So just be really cautious about something like that. Don't pay for anything in full when you're trying to get a service, especially from a company that you don't know. I know sometimes if you're getting cable or if you're getting a new phone service, they usually have you pay for the first month. Well, those are companies, especially if you're dealing with Sprint, you're dealing with AT&T, they're well-known companies. And they may be asking you to pay for the first month ahead of time. Spectrum, those types of places. So, you know, just be careful, especially if they've come to you. Get and keep all of your receipts. So get a receipt for everything that you do, and then keep those receipts and make sure that you keep that on file. And then don't pay for services that should be free. So things like your credit report, you can get information on your credit report free from a lot of companies. So you shouldn't have to be paying for those things. So just be aware that there may be services out there through Foundation Community, through your case manager, all of those that may be free to you that you don't actually have to pay for. So how do we avoid them? Research organizations that you're not familiar with. One of the best things that's ever happened to us is the internet. You know, we can search these companies. I mean, I've been ready to sign up for something or use a company, and then I read the reviews. And it's, you know, you can see a bad review, bad review, bad review. You know, that information is out there. You can also go to the Attorney General's website and find out if these people have been reported multiple times. Protect your information. The IRS is not going to call you or email you for your information. Unemployment's not going to do it. These companies are not going to reach out and say, hey, we owe you money. Just think very hard before you give out any of your information, address, date of birth, phone number, to anybody at all. Protect that information, monitor your credit reports, and there's a lot of scam reports. Some of them will come out on your phone, some will come through email, some may be on a lot of websites. You know, some websites that you are trusted, Foundation Communities, even I've seen companies like Spectrum and Sprint being on their website, hey, be careful, there's people out there pretending to be us trying to get your information. But you'll find that on Texas Workforce, all of those are trying to make us aware so that we don't lose any of our assets or our information. Okay. So how do we watch out? Not everyone who offers help is legitimate. Remember, we've talked about those trusted people or agencies that you're working with currently that are going to continue to be trusted. Look out for the scams. I'm pessimistic when it comes to things. I have a tendency not to trust. You know, so unless it's your caseworker, Foundation Communities, you know, the apartment complex, don't be giving out your info and assume that these folks may be trying to scam you. And be selective when you hire or accept help. You know, people will give a little bit and then expect a lot back. So just use those trusted resources that we've talked about and we'll continue to talk about. So adjusting for your financial after the disaster. So hopefully this, 2020 is not looking great at this point. As we move through the year, we have to think about what will things look like after. How do I protect myself afterwards? If by chance you are unemployed and you are getting that extra $600 per week, and it may be extra, put that money aside. That money ends at the end of July as it stands. We don't know if that will continue, but put that money aside if you can, knowing that that very well may go away. And if you're still unemployed, you could be going down to a couple of hundred per week. So save that money if you can at all. I know if it's more than you may have been used to before, don't take it for granted. Just save it. Some of the things you'll want to do, it is a hard time. We're either working from home or we're not working. We aren't seeing all of our family. We aren't seeing our friends. We're not getting out and being social. It's kind of a loss. I could tell you, I've been at my job for 20 years, and after losing it, it's like, well, that was my family for 20 years. And it was a very odd time. So, as you go through these things, there is grief, and give yourself the opportunity to grieve for the loss of what we knew the norm was, and accepting what the new norm, whatever it turns out to be, looks like. Definitely review and adjust your spending plan and savings plan. As I mentioned, there's still ways to save money. And if you are saving money, it might be a great idea, just put that money away. We may not be driving as much or taking public transportation as much. So that's a savings. Some of you may have, been paying for childcare and now you don't have to, or you weren't before and now you're having to because the kids aren't in school. So any extra money you can put away for those emergencies, that would be awesome. We've talked about contacting your lenders. That being proactive is crucial. Your financial institutions afterwards, see what services they may still have. Hopefully, as we move into what the new norm becomes, they may not be waiving fees anymore, and you may take that for granted if you overdraft or something. So keep your eye on their websites for when some of those things might end, and don't assume that they will continue. Get and review your credit reports, and then set new goals and make plans to reach them. We don't know what the future holds, what employment is going to look like for any of us. So those are some of the things you'll want to definitely keep in mind. So what did we learn in the first section? Develop an initial plan to recover financially from the disaster and watch out for scams. This is an awesome opportunity for me to take a break from speaking and you guys to ask some questions or make comments. We got a couple of great comments, but feel free, whether it's for me or for Chris, from Foundation Communities, ask away anything that you might be thinking about what we just discussed, anything where you might have a question on a specific resource of how do we get that. And if you want to, there's very few of us. If you also want to unmute and ask that question, feel free to do that. Michelle, do you have a question?
Yeah, actually I do. Kind of with everything that we've been covering, I kind of feel like I was ahead a little bit just because, I was kind of ahead just because I was kind of not really trusting that everything was going to get back to normal as quickly as maybe we all thought it was.
Sure.
But I do have a question. Like, I have money put away, and I am one of the fortunate or maybe unfortunate people that are getting the extra $600 a week, and I don't have a lot of expenses. So I have been putting money aside. Now, I don't have a bank account, but what I do is I split it between a couple of cards that I have.
Okay.
Some cards that I was using to have my paychecks deposited on.
Okay.
But I guess what my question is I do look at my credit report pretty often because I am kind of scared of like scammers right now and people getting a hold of my information. But if you don't have a lot of debt, like I don't have a lot of debt.
Good for
My
you.
debt is under like 1,500 and it's mostly medical bills.
Okay.
I'm wondering if this is a time to take a look at that, even though, you know, money is tight and this is like an emergency kind of style of situation. But
Sure.
I'm wondering if taking a look at that further and maybe possibly paying some of that down would like be in my benefit in the future.
Yeah, and that might be something good. I would probably recommend making an appointment with one of the financial coaches, and we're doing those virtually or over the phone, whatever works for you. And they can kind of review what those are. We can talk more, or they can talk more about the potential for settling some of those, the good and the bad of settling compared to paying them in full. But if you do have the opportunity, that might be, you know, an opportunity to get those done and over with. Also, it might be a good opportunity to kind of chat with them about maybe a savings account,
Yes.
you know, and how you would do that. But I think, you know, sadly, you know, there's some positive to what's going on where people are getting that extra 600. And that's why I emphasized don't take it for granted.
Yeah.
And just go out and buy more stuff. It's a great opportunity. They recommend that you have at least 6 months worth of your bills set aside in case of an emergency. And maybe that's where you go, hey, that's a great opportunity. Or if you have a goal in the future of a house or a car or something, I would highly recommend making an appointment and spending that hour with somebody and going, here's what I got. Let's talk about the pros and cons of each one of those.
Right.
So
Okay.
good.
Thank you. Yeah.
And-
Yeah. No, absolutely.
And I'm glad that you're saving that money. I think that
Yeah,
that's really important.
It's really scary. So I kind of scared myself into saving, I think,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Absolutely. So good for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think what you're doing right now, Michelle, is the right thing. By just being careful with your money. If you're able to speak to somebody about paying down some of that debt, you're really going to talk about strategizing, whether it's contacting your debt collector and trying to
Settle or pay in full.
yeah,
Right.
just trying to make a settlement where you can pay a lot down at one time. But if you don't have if you don't have money coming in right now, it's a good idea to kind of sit on some of that money, just because you don't know what's going to get approved down the line and how much longer this quarantine is going to take, or how much longer we're going to be in this current situation that we're finding ourselves in again. So it's better to have that money on hand rather than your debt collectors
Sure.
happy, because
Right.
you really kind of want to talk about and think about prioritizing, which we're going to jump into right now, about really having enough money for your housing and having enough money for food and your bills, which is going to keep your family protected in the short term.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no, I actually just had another question. I know that the extra $600 is coming from, I think it's the CARES Act, right? And I'm usually pretty savvy on getting information, but I'm confused when I get on the unemployment website. Like, it's really confusing. There's a bunch of information. And because I heard you mention that the CARES Act is going to be up at the end of July. And I just found that out a couple of weeks ago. I feel like I'm not getting a lot of information. There's not a lot of correspondence from the unemployment agency. So I'm wondering if you guys have like another resource or somewhere where I can go and kind of get that information.
It is kind of a challenge because you can't call and talk to anybody.
No.
That's an impossibility. You know, it might be something, I don't know of anything right offhand. One thing on that topic, I do like to point out to people, depending on how you opted to take that unemployment, if you don't have the extra taxes taken out, you're going to have to pay taxes on that income.
Yeah.
So that's something that when you are doing that, there may be tax ramifications of that
Mhm.
where you don't want next year to go, what do you mean I owe all this money?
Mhm.
So, just keep that in mind. I don't want to get too heavily into taxes, but if anybody is getting that $600 and is not opted to have it taxed appropriately, then it's not taxed.
Mhm.
So just be aware of that.
Got it. Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions or comments for anybody? Awesome. All right.
Yeah,
Well,
you can always put the question into the chat, or also, I guess we're going to go ahead and jump into section 2, and
yes.
So we'll go ahead and get started there.
Great. So section 2, what do we do when money's short? Because depending on what your situation is, you could be at a point where the money isn't going to be as much, or it's less, or there's potential for it to be less in the future. So one of the things you always want to do is make sure, as we talk about this, is that we prioritize where our money's going to go. And we want to make sure, and Chris, feel free to jump in at any time, but we want to make sure that the most important things are always paid for, and that should be the roof over your head, the food on your table, and then the utilities that keep you cool or warm. Those are always going to be the most important. And don't forget, I'll keep stressing it, there are resources out there to assist you with some of these. So we want to make sure that if you do need help with it, reach out. So how does it happen? How do we end up with less money? Multiple different ways. You may be getting unemployment and it may be less than what you got before. It may be that you weigh heavily on tips for something and now you're not getting them. Your state unemployment might be $100, but you usually made a lot more than that in tips. But because it wasn't reported, it may not be income that was verifiable. So you want to be very careful. And, as we were talking with Michelle, if extra's coming in right now, be really careful, because we don't know what's going to change in the future. So what are some of the things you can do if it does come up short? First of all, best thing is always increase income. Sometimes that sounds easier than it is. But look for what opportunities can you take to actually make extra money. There's a lot of services that are coming up now. Delivery is a really popular one. Personal shopping, through H-E-B, Whole Foods, Randall's, all of those places. Just doing the shopping in the store and then taking it out curbside. So there's a lot of new opportunities out there. There's, as far as working from home, those are a little bit more challenging sometimes, but there's call centers, that are looking for more and more people, and may just be part-time on weeknights or weekends. So look for those opportunities. Decrease expenses. I can tell you the first thing I did when I lost my job was I got rid of cable. It was really hard because, you're so used to it, but there's so much available streaming. I switched companies from my phone and cut my bill in half. I'm not going out. So, you're saving a lot of money there. We're probably eating a little bit more than we were before. So making sure that we're shopping well when we do shop for our food is going to be important. And remember, look for the opportunities out there where there's assistance to get you some food. Contact your creditors. Some are willing to give you what's called a skip-a-pay for like a personal loan or a car loan, where they will actually allow you to skip that payment. Be aware, however, it doesn't go away. It just gets added on to the end of your loan. But reach out if you're unable to make that payment and contact them. Remember, I'll keep saying it, be proactive. Reach out for help. Your case manager, foundation communities, reach out to the coaches and look for opportunities to get resources. There's a lot of stuff out there. And then prioritize what to pay first. And remember, you got the necessities. Beyond the necessities, after you do the major three, then you do have medical. Do you have prescriptions that have to be filled, special medical devices? There's those that are gonna need to be paid for. So prioritizing based on what might happen, make choices about which bills to pay in full, partially, or late. Just be aware of, if you are paying partially or late, what potential late fees or penalties might actually be put on those. And that's where you're going to want to reach out to those creditors instead of saying, I can only make half of the car payment, I'm just going to send that. Well, that might have a late fee of $50 on it, which does not help you very much. Same on your credit card, your personal loan, your utilities. So contact them and ask them, hey, if I can only pay half, what happens? And then they say, you know what, we're willing to accept half for this month, not charge penalties, and not report you as being late. They're really working hard with consumers. Pay attention to consequences that prevent you from earning income. I know there's a lot of parents that once school closed, they didn't have daycare set up. So it's like, what do? Well, you either can't work or you're working from home. So those were things that may have cut into your ability to earn income, is staying home with kids or somebody who may need your assistance. Be very careful of anything that jeopardizes your shelter, that may impact your health or ability to live independently. One of the things I do want to throw out there is our health. We're inside. For those of you who might be working from home, or you are not employed, we're not getting out. Get out, exercise, go for walks, do all of that stuff. For those of you that are working, please make sure you're taking all of the appropriate steps that the government is giving you to prevent the passing of the virus. So I know it's easy. Well, let me just take my mask off at work for a little while. Just be so careful with that, because your inability to work may cause some issues down the road, and could result in the loss of your assets. Don't go, avoid taking out a title loan on your car to pay something when in reality, you might have been able to have resources who could help you pay for that. So before you get a payday loan or a title loan, reach out to the resources that you have to make sure that, hey, maybe I can get assistance on this instead of doing that loan, and then I end up losing my car because I can't make the payment on the title loan. So what we've got here is some of what we've covered already, talking about what do we do first, but after that, then what do we do? If we still can't pay bills, list all of your bills and prioritize them. Talk to the creditors, be proactive, but be prepared for long waits on the phone if you are reaching out to them. Write down what happens if you don't pay something, because it might be, well, this is what I have to do. You almost have to do your pros and cons of, this is if I don't do this, what would actually happen? Would it jeopardize my ability to get services from this company again in the future, or to live where I currently live? And then put priorities to all of these things. And I think we know overall what our priorities are: roof over the head, food in the mouth, and the utilities. Those are going to be the things that get us day to day to day. Your utility bills are likely higher right now, especially if you're home. So, that might be something where you used to pay 80, now you're paying 120, and you didn't budget for that increase. Well, because we're home and it's summer, we may be using more water because we used the facilities at work before. We didn't cook as much at home, and now we're cooking more. So those are things that you're going to want to make sure that you are prioritizing as to what is the most important thing to you to get you through the day to day, and then what might be able to wait. So kind of our key takeaways from that section: prioritize what you have, especially when money becomes short. If you are getting that 600 extra, that is totally awesome. And I hope all of you are being very wise and putting that money aside for when it's not there. Because if you were, let's say you were somebody who worked heavily on tips or even commission, and your unemployment is based on what your income was, you might only get $100 or $200 per week once that $600 is gone. So that 600 might need to last you months and months longer down the road. Keep in mind, I know it seems like a long way away. The holidays will come up upon us. Car insurance is going to come due for those of you that have a vehicle. So car repairs when you go back to work and have to travel to work. So if you're getting that extra money and it's more than what you were getting before, please save it. And then, because you may need it in the future. If it comes down to you don't need it in the future, guess what you have? You have money towards an emergency fund down the road. So action. So let's take these one by one, and you guys can use the chat, or if you guys want to, there's not a lot of you. If you guys want to do video and audio, you're welcome to. So the first thing I want to ask all of you, and hopefully everybody can kind of chime in one way or another. After this class, what are you going to do? What is going to be a little bit different from what we did before? Anybody want to kind of either chat or speak up?
I think that I'm definitely going to totally take advantage of the anything that I can take advantage of as far as financial coaching. That's like the first thing that I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to reach out to Heather and see if I can get set up with a financial coach.
Awesome.
And
Sean?
opening a bank account.
Yes. Sean, did you have something?
I think my situation's a little different. I work at home. My partner and I both work at home, and our daughter is disabled.
Okay.
We have an eBay store, so we've actually been making more money than we were before. Actually doing pretty well. So I think my situation is just a little bit different. We are working on building an emergency fund where we didn't have the ability to do that before, and now we have extra money coming in.
Yeah.
And maybe that's something that other people can take away too. Anything that you spent your money on or your assets, whether they're those shoes that you bought that are sitting in the closet, clothes that your kids have grown out of. Those are all things that, if need be, there's lots of sites where you can sell this type of things and put that extra money away or use it for some of your necessities.
Yeah, we just don't know at this point what the future holds for any of us. And
Right.
if you are in a situation where there is extra money, we just don't know how long this thing is going to last. And if it comes to the point where that money is gone and maybe you're not working, that money will come in handy down the road.
Right. I've just found alternative ways to work. I think a situation where a lot of people are finding themselves in, I found myself in 2 years ago when I had my daughter. My life started looking much like everyone's looking right now. So I've kind of settled into this comfort zone of finding ways to make me and being secluded and all those things that everyone's dealing with now. I've been doing for a couple of years, so it's not quite as a shock to me as it was 2 years ago.
Yeah, and just keep in mind, and I know I'm more of a financial person, just keep in mind as you're getting that extra money, if it is unemployment and everything, just think about what effects it might have on your taxes next year.
Right. I don't get any unemployment. I'm self-employed, so.
Yeah, so just keep that stuff in mind. I know everybody's going, hey, extra money. And then when they do the taxes next year, I'm not a tax person. I just think the worst sometimes when it comes to situations. And all I could think of is if I was getting unemployment and it's not taxed, what am I going to owe next year? You know,
Right.
because of that. So just, you know, that's kind of my nature to do that.
Harry, it looks like Amina has a question. She has her hand up.
Great.
So, Amina, if you want to go ahead and ask a question, feel free.
Yes, hi. Yeah. So I want to say first, thank you. Thank you for this, how can I say, teaching or conference. It's really helpful. My question is, I am in the CHI program.
Okay.
This year, like in October, will be, I think, the last month for me. So I'll have to transition now to a regular rent. So which is really like, it just came in the bad moment, as you just said. It's so uncertain. We really don't know what will happen next.
Yeah.
And I'm so scared about, that, like that transition. What will be your advice on that case? Or if, I know you are from Foundation Community, has a lot of program, but is it something that the CHI program can do because of this Corona situation, to help out, or like we just have to find out after the program is finished, you just on your own? So that
I don't know the answer to that, Chris. Can you?
Yeah, I would. So far, it looks like your CHI program has really been trying to work closely with our staff to make sure that all of the participants of the CHI program are receiving opportunities. Now, I don't know if they would be able to extend the amount of rent, but I would definitely keep these conversations going with your case managers so that they're aware of your concerns with it past October. I do know that we are going to be opening up some new properties. I don't know exactly if they're going to be available by October, but I would definitely keep these dialogues and concerns open with your case managers, because your case managers are going to be the ones that are going to have the information available, and they can set up that communication with property management to see what would be the best way to transition you into not receiving the CHI discount or the agreed upon amount that you currently have. But yeah, definitely keep those conversations going with your case managers.
Great. Thanks, Chris.
And thank you, Chris. Thank you. I don't know if I can ask another question. It's just,
Absolutely.
yeah. And my other question is, in case that, okay, there's no way to transition, like to extend, what's your advice as a financial, person, from someone who've been paying, like, let's say $500 a month for a rent, and then going now maybe regular rent, probably 100. Oh, I heard.
Somebody's phone, other phone is.
Okay. I don't know if it's able to. I have noises.
Yeah.
Is that your other phone, Amina?
No, it's not me. It's not from.
Oh, Sean, could that be you?
Yeah. If
Amina, one of the things that we kind of chatted a little bit about it is, when you're transitioning to something where there's going to be a higher amount that you're going to have to be paying, the positive is when, as you work with your caseworker, your case manager, you'll have the ability to kind of keep communication open with them. You have a little bit of time. There's the options of, is there a way to have additional income coming in to cover that additional increase? It also gives you the opportunity to look for other places to determine what might be out there for you. But I know October is coming up fairly quick. It's 3-4 months away, but still it gives you a little bit of time to start determining, is there a way I can get additional income into the household to offset what the increase is actually going to be? And look at your other debts. If you have any, is there anything that maybe you can adjust at that time?
Yeah. Thank you, Terry. I didn't finish my question. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, it's okay. That was also helpful. So my question was, in that transition, like from like 500, and then you have to pay now 1,200.
Mhm.
Oh, 1,200. 1,200 for rent. Is it wise to just move like from the program straight to like buy a house, or just to rent? Is it a wise decision, like financial way, or maybe get another maybe 6 months to see how it's gonna go, and then after that get ready to buy a house? Because if that amount can pay a mortgage, why not? You know what I mean? So
Sure.
that is
One
the question.
one of the things that I would definitely state, I know Chris and I keep mentioning it, sitting down with a financial coach, I could have a conversation with you for the next hour talking about the benefits of owning a home and the negative of owning a home, comparative, and then also preparing to get a home. It's not something usually you can go out and go, I think I'm going to buy a house tomorrow. There's credit has to be right. The income has to be right. Where do you want to live? The additional costs that go with owning a home, and then also finding affordable housing within Austin. So that's probably a different lengthy conversation with someone that, okay, if you're going to be paying $1,200 a month, would you rather be paying a mortgage or would you rather be paying rent? It's a financial decision for each individual person, but when you own a home, there's additional costs that go into both purchasing of the home and then the ongoing care for it that you wouldn't have to pay when it came to renting. What you don't get is the appreciation and asset wealth of owning a home. So there's different kind of ways to look at that. But it's always a great thing before you purchase a home or even think of purchasing a home to understand the costs that go into owning one. Because when you rent and you're paying somebody $1,200, if the garbage disposal breaks, they come and they replace it. The fridge breaks, they come and they replace it. Those are all things you would have to pay for. Termite, pest control, all of those things that you would not pay for when living in an apartment. And that can add up to hundreds and hundreds of dollars per month. So it's kind of one of those things where you'd want to compare the benefits of each one.
Yeah,
Does that help?
Just kind of going on what Terry was saying, you really should, if owning a home is something that you really kind of want to do or you're even thinking about, that is probably a process that takes about a year. So if that's something you're interested in right now, I would talk to your bank. I would have them look at your credit score. I would see if you're in a financial position right now to purchase a home, see how much of a loan you would get approved for, then also take a look at the types of homes that are available in the Austin area that the neighborhoods you'd want to live in, if you can afford a home in those neighborhoods. I have done some home counseling in the past, and it's usually a process that takes about a year to 2 years for a lot of people. Sometimes it can be as quick as like 6 months to 3 months. But if it's going to be your first home purchase, I would give yourself at least a year, even 2 years. A lot of individuals find themselves in a situation where their credit score might not be where they want it to be in order to get a better loan on that home. So you might have to give yourself maybe 6 months to a year out to maybe get it where you want to be, or even kind of work on some of paying down some of the debt you may have already accrued. But if that's something you're interested in right now, I would definitely encourage you to start doing the kind of your homework and start contacting lenders, and just to make sure that it's going to line up with your personal time frames, and whether or not you're just kind of preparing yourself for that situation. On top of that, you also want to see what your bills might look like by owning your own home. It's not, from going from living in an apartment into living in a, let's say, 3-4 bedroom home, your bills would definitely go up a lot more. But a lot like with what Terry's saying, and especially the type of home you would purchase, because if you're going to buy an older home, you may have to save more money for repairs. If you're going to buy a brand new home, or the type of home, if you're going to have some type of HOA fees, homeowners association fees, that you might have to pay into as well. So definitely educating yourself on these matters. If that's something you're interested in, I'm definitely going to encourage you to start reading up on it and start talking to people and start talking to bankers, start talking to home lenders. And the more information, the more you're going to do on your end, the better off you're going to be to find out if that's the right choice for you, because you're just going to educate yourself more, and then that would lead to you making an educated decision if that's the right move for you at that time.
Yeah, and I would just tag on to that. If you have a relationship with a credit union or bank, I would start there. You would want to avoid going to many, many lenders and having them pull your credit report to figure out what your score is. You should have your score available to you through one of the free services. So you can even let them know, here's my income, here's the rough estimate of my credit score. What does it need to be? Because you don't want a bunch of places pulling your credit on you and pulling your credit score down. So, but if you have a good relationship with a credit union or bank, great place to start. So any other any other questions, comments? One of the bullet points on here is, sharing your goals. Sharing of goals and plans are always helpful. You want to look for somebody who you're close to, who would hold you accountable. But sharing those with somebody helps you to keep accountability. And it also helps you to have a support system of, hey, I don't have a job, and I'm getting the extra money right now. I want to save all that so that I have 6 months worth of bills set aside. Folks will, you want somebody who's going to support you to help you achieve those goals, or help you build out that plan.
And a good, if you're a little cautious on who you're sharing those plans with,
Sure.
We do have our financial coaches that can be those individuals that you can work with, and where you're checking in with them and you're saying, this is a goal I have. You can create a plan. They'll give you some time frames, and you would have the opportunity to check in with the coach and say, this is where I'm at now. This is the kind of work I've been doing over the last month to work towards my goal. Is this am I on the right path? So just be aware that you do have resources here at Foundation Communities. A lot of the work, if you are working with a case manager right now, share your plan with your case manager. Your case manager, that's the type of work that they want to see your growth. They want to see you inspired to reach and to work towards a specific goal, whether it's paying down debt, whether it's saving money, whether it's, saving money for a house. That's what they're there for. That's kind of what we're here for also, to help you get to that next point in your life, to help you reach those goals that you've been working on. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next slide right now to just give everybody our contact information through the financial coaching program. So it's there, available, 737-717-4000. And we are, as of right now, and as this COVID situation continues, we're going to continue on a telephone and Zoom platform. The majority of our appointments have been over the phone. If that's where you feel more comfortable is just over the phone rather than doing the Zoom calls, we're available for that. And we do have appointments available Monday through Saturdays via phone and via Zoom. Now, Elle, do you have a question that you wanted to ask?
You can either do video and
I
audio.
do. I do this. I've been doing this all day. Zoom, Zoom, Zoom. I'm just like, this is my life now.
Like a Mazda commercial.
Yeah.
Zoom.
I wanted to say, first of all, thank you so much for having this. God bless both of you. This information is incredible.
Good.
So grateful. This is so wonderful. I mean, just to be able to have access, you know, even though everyone's going through this pandemic, what a blessing that we just happen to be a part of this amazing organization. Do you know what I mean? To be so supported. Shout out to my caseworker, Carly. Please. Carly, yes, Carly is everything. She is life for me. I'm here at the Jordan.
Oh, awesome.
And
Over
so
at the Jordan?
I am at the Jordan at Mueller.
Oh, that's gotta be nice.
It's wonderful. We're here. You know, it's been open since what? October?
Yeah, I drove by
Yeah,
a few
that one
months
opened
ago.
up
It's great.
October.
No, it's not December, and I moved in December.
Awesome.
So it's in Mueller. But I guess my question is this. In regards to just maybe getting some advice on more like aggressive savings and even just taking advantage of some things like maybe my work is offering, just getting some feedback, who do I reach out to? I know Carly even put me in touch with, but I feel like I was just calling, I don't know, I need like a direct number or email or something to set up an appointment, preferably to talk to one of you two. Do you know what I mean? Where do I go to directly just set it up and we can do something like this for 30 minutes or whatever?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that number right on the screen,
Okay.
that Chris put up, the 737-717-4000.
Got it. I'm taking a screenshot of it.
And then what they'll also do is there is the ability to make an appointment on the website. Correct, Chris? They can still
On
book
which
one.
website? Which site?
Foundation Communities.
Yeah, it's foundcom.org, and
.org.
then under financial,
And it's
financial
coaching.
wellness.
Yeah, it's financial wellness.
Oh,
So,
okay.
and that way that gives you kind of some flexibility of location or
Well, now everything is
location,
online,
but it'll be phone or Zoom.
right? Okay.
And then picking time that works for you. There's dozens of coaches available. So
Yeah, I would call the number, and you're going to talk to Bernie or Belinda. When you talk to them, let them know that you're part of CHI. Let them know who your case manager is. Bernie specifically knows all of the CHI caseworkers. His wife is one of them. His wife is Linda at Southwest Trails. So definitely want to mention that you're part of CHI, and definitely talk to them and let them know what your goals are and what you're trying to achieve, because they have most of the contact with the coaches. And so they're going to know which coach is probably going to be the best for your specific goal.
Got it.
And
Thank you. That's awesome.
and so, and you know, Terry, you can't ask for Terry. You can't ask for Jewel. Jewel's been on she's been taking a lot of calls, but she's also a financial advisor, financial planner. So she has a lot of experience with helping people and guiding people through this process. I'm probably not going to be as available because I'm doing more work with the emergency assistance program.
Oh, awesome. Yes, that's awesome.
Do have a lot of our coaches available, are volunteers. And I do want to just let everybody know that we do have funding available to help our residents with paying down electric bills, especially as they come up during the summer. Austin Energy did give us, well, they gave us a larger grant to help our residents pay the electric bills down. So you can call up the 737-717-4000 line, and we can assist you with your electric bill through September. So definitely take advantage of that while you can. Elle, did you have any other questions?
No, that was it. That's perfect. And they featured me because I received rental help.
Mhm.
And so they did like a whole thing where I forget her name. She interviewed me. Is it
Was it
Debbie?
Erica?
Erica?
No, little
Elena?
bit. No, she's like she was in her
Mhm.
house. She's a little more mature. I forget her name. Debbie or something. I don't know. But anyway, she filmed me and posted it on the YouTube page.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
It's called
It's
Elle's.
probably with our communications team.
Yeah, it's called Elle's Story.
Elle's
Oh, that just
Story.
went out.
But it's actually about this, reaching out and asking for help and being helped with the COVID rental assistance through the foundation. So I just wanted to add that and say thank you guys so much for everything.
Well,
Our pleasure.
you're welcome, Elle, and we're glad that we were able to assist you. And that's why we're trying to make more of these workshops available online, record them so they're available on our website. So if you missed anything or you want to go back to it, you can go back. If anybody is interested, I sent everybody that registered an email. So if you would like a copy of, or if you'd like for me to forward this PowerPoint to you, I can do that as well, just so you would have these resources and these steps available to you whenever you'd like, and you'd have them in your email. So we can do that also. Do we have any other questions? I know we had this scheduled until 7, but really at this point, we're just here to answer questions. If you have any other questions for Terry or myself. Terry, do you have any parting words for everybody?
Other than keep safe and keep sane, get out. The big thing that I myself have been doing is I go out every day and I either bike ride, I run. Otherwise I would just be sitting in this apartment watching TV and eating all day. So, take care of your mental self as well. I think that will help you through a lot. But definitely take advantage of whatever programs are available. If you need the help, take it.
And the name of it, her name is Donna Williams. Donna
Williams. She's with our communications team.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I'm on your website
Yay.
for financial, and all the support that you guys do. So I'm so grateful.
So everybody go on our website and go watch Elle's story.
That's what I'm about to do.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm just going to go give some parting words of thanking everybody for joining us this evening. I know there's plenty of things you would like to do with your Tuesday evening, but thanks for sharing.
Not anymore.
With me and Terry. If you do have questions, you can email me or definitely talk to your case managers and give them any questions you would have for us, and definitely take advantage of our financial coaching line and our program that we have here.
Absolutely.
Cool. Well, thank you all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a lot of information.
Glad I could help.
I have a last question.
Yes.
I don't know if Chris, you can remember me. I was in the class, in financial class. I think it was January.
Lakeline. Yeah, was it at
Yes,
Lakeline?
at Lakeline. Yes,
Okay.
yes, at Lakeline.
I remember.
So, yes, you help us pull out our credit score, and because you mentioned to have someone who can help us pull out that will not affect the credit score. I don't know if
Correct.
that's credit score, is it different than the one that, the like Bank of America already like they every month they're sending us the reports, for the credit score. Are they different than
Correct.
the one that they're providing, or they're just the same?
Okay, so the thing with your credit score, so we just pulled a TransUnion score on you. And when we did that in October. But you have to keep in mind, every month your credit score changes. So what we pulled in October is not necessarily what your credit score is going to be right now. And when you do pull your credit score, there's some different
Fluctuations.
versions of it. So there's like, ordinarily there's like a FICO 9. Now they just introduced FICO 10 and FICO 10T. I just did a conference on this about a week ago. But when you think about your credit score, think of your credit score kind of always in motion, because every month, depending on when you paid your bill, how much utilization, it's always going to go up and down, or hopefully it continues to go up and up, or stays at like a high number. But that credit score we pulled on you in October is probably going to look different now that we're entering July. So yeah, the numbers do change frequently. We do suggest that if you have access to like a Credit Sesame or Credit Karma, those are going to give you an idea of what your FICO score is, but it's not going to be the exact FICO score. You do have the option for that. Terry, did you want to go a little further on that?
Yeah, I was just going to say there's different versions, as Chris said, of each one of the credit reporting agencies' scoring model. And ones that you might get from Credit Karma may be different from Credit Sesame, which may be different from what you get from Bank of America on a monthly basis, or what you get from Capital One on a monthly basis, compared to if you went and applied for a loan. Because there's even different versions of credit reports when you apply for specific types of loans. Car loan compared to mortgage, compared to a credit card. So there's numerous versions. What you want to look at is, first of all, what is your score? How is it trending? And then lastly, what's your goal behind it? Or if your goal is you want to buy a home, then work with your credit union or your bank mortgage department to find out what do they use and what's the expectation for what they're looking for. But I've been in lending for 30 years, and I get way back before there even were credit scores. And I get people going, why did I go to Bank of America and I came to you and the credit scores are different? Because it totally depends on which reporting agency they're using and which version they're using. The information on the credit report is, believe it or not, kind of more important. The score is usually how they designate if you get credit and then the rate that you're going to pay. But what's actually on the credit report, you want to focus on that too, because that's what's making up whatever version of the score they're getting. So the easy answer to that is you will probably never get the same exact score no matter where you go. It's how is it trending, and then what is the use of the score? What are you trying to achieve? Hopefully that helps. If not, confuses.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and just keep in mind that your credit score, your FICO score, it's there to predict how likely you are to pay your future debts. And a lot like Terry was saying, where it's going and what they're trying to track is kind of how your patterns look, and kind of based on that, what you're likely to do in the future.
It's actually a score that's determining the likelihood that you will default on a loan. So the higher the score, the less likely you are to default. The lower the score, the more likely you are to default. that you will default on something in the future. So, but it's trending to look in the next 24 months, what's the likelihood you're going to go delinquent or default on a loan?
And just keep in mind, the most important thing you can do is just stay consistent with paying your bills on time. That's 35%. The 30% is your credit utilization. So you want to keep that under 30. Actually, if you can pay it all off every month, that's probably the best thing you can do. And then it goes 15% in your credit history, 10% of your new credit that you're requesting, and then 10% how the different types of credit that you have. So 35, 30, 15, 10, 10. I just kind of keep those numbers in my head all the time, 35, 30, 15, 10, 10. And that just kind of helps me give that information out to our clients. And that's just how your credit's weighted.
Anything else from anybody? Well, I think that's it, Chris, unless you have anything else you need to.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody. This is recorded, so we're going to go ahead and stop the recording right now. But you will be able to find this recording on our website probably in about a week or so. All right. Well, from Foundation Communities, thank you very much. Terry, thank you for leading this discussion today. We really appreciate it. And if you do have further questions, feel free to email me directly or contact your case manager and we can set up some future conversations. All right. Have a good evening, everybody.
Thank you. You
Thanks,
too.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.